I'm curious. Do you believe there's a difference between joy and happiness? Well, if you were to Google joy versus happiness, you're going to find a plethora of links that define the difference. The consensus is that there is a distinction between the two emotions, with happiness getting the short end of the stick. According to psychologies.co in the UK, joy and happiness are wonderful feelings to experience, but are very different. Joy is more consistent and is cultivated internally. It comes when you make peace with who you are, why you are, and how you are. Whereas happiness tends to be externally triggered and is based on other people, things, places, thoughts, and events. Now, Psychology Today shared the same sentiment, but with further details. Happiness is external. It's based on situations, events, people, places, things, and thoughts. Happiness is connected to your hope for a relationship or your hope for a future with someone. Happiness is linked to that someday when I meet the right guy, or when he starts changing and acting right, or when he goes to counseling. Happiness is future-oriented, and it puts all its eggs in someone else's basket. It is dependent on outside situations, people, or events to align with your expectations so that the end result is your happiness. These expectations can be seen especially during the holidays, when whether or not you have a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holiday depends on whether or not he is with you, shows up, isn't drunk, isn't cheating, or a list of other behaviors you expect for a happy holiday experience. Unfortunately, pathology rarely obliges in that way. So when the relationship falls through, or he isn't wonderful at Christmas, or you kick him out, or he cheats again, or he runs off with your money, or he was a con artist, then your holidays were not happy, and your happiness was crushed. Wow. Now, what's interesting about the second article is that the word hope also gets a bad rap. I'm so confused. Is there a distinction between this and this? For me, it's like trying to find the difference between this and this. See, the way I see it, the distinction is a myth. And this myth creates a belief that happiness makes us vulnerable. But here's the thing. It's a fact that our mind creates the world we see, not our eyes. In other words, our mind creates our reality. Our emotions are a direct reflection of our perceived reality, which means that everything comes from within. And the choice to believe that we are not in control of our happiness has a direct effect on the quality of our human experience. In other words, this belief will create a fear of being happy. There's a quote by Charlie Brown which goes, "I think I'm afraid to be happy, because whenever I get too happy, something bad always happens. End quote. Now, if we have the ability to be joyful despite external circumstances, then we also have the ability to be happy in the same circumstances. And to believe there's a difference, in my opinion, is ridiculous. See, I believe happiness is a choice our mind makes based on our beliefs and expectations of how it is achieved. In other words, happiness is defined by our mind and nowhere else. There's an interesting article by the British Psychological Society. The headline reads, "When you set sad lyrics against happy music, the music wins." Now, the article makes reference to the Beatles song Hello, Goodbye, which features sad lyrics with a happy tune to make the point that many of us enjoy sad music. The article shares the results of a study where students were asked to listen to the music alone, then read the lyrics without the music, and then listen to the music and lyrics together. To quote the article, the researchers also compared associations between the students' perceptions of the music and/or lyrics and their subsequent feelings. The perceived happiness of the music or lyrics alone was related to how much happiness the students reported feeling. That makes sense. More curiously, when it came to music plus lyrics, it was the students' perception of the sadness of this combination that went hand in hand with their experiencing more happiness. It's as if the students recognized that the song's message was sad, but in combination with an upbeat melody, this sad message provoked positive emotion. What happens in the mind of a listener when sad lyrics are blended with happy tunes? Mori and Iwanaga believe a sad-happy combination captures something about the complexity of emotion that we find aesthetically pleasing, triggering what they call polyvalent pleasant feelings. At a physical level, they think an upbeat melody triggers the release of the hormone prolactin, which is associated with calmness. With this relaxing chemical accompaniment, they say sad feelings can be experienced without real psychic pain. End quote. In other words, happiness is an emotion that is not dependent on the narrative, in this case, the lyrics. Happiness can look like this, or this, or this. It all boils down to our perspective of what happiness looks like and how we believe it's achieved. See, I believe that our emotions are a direct reflection of our mind's perspective of a situation. And so what this means for me is that a shift in our mind's perspective will create a shift in our emotions. It has nothing to do with external factors. In other words, I believe we are in full control of our emotions. And to be happy is a decision that we make based on our mind's perception of what happiness looks like. And for me, happiness is not defined by a relationship. It's not defined by an event. For me, happiness is not always defined by a smile. Now, You don't have to agree with me. How you choose to define happiness is up to you. And that's the point. I have a quote I'd like to share with you. This quote is by the Dalai Lama. The ultimate source of happiness is within us. Well, this is all I have for today. Thanks so much for joining me. And if you have any questions or you'd simply like to connect, feel free to do so through my personal email. I've listed it in the description below. Until we meet again, be safe and make sure to keep paying attention to your karma. It's our greatest teacher.